In this video, traders, we're going to answer the question, is $200 per day doable as a day trader? Stick around. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. All right, so question from a subscriber. Appreciate all your comments, guys, your shares, all this likes, all that kind of stuff. It is much appreciated. Thank you. And if you're kind of making a suggestion about a video, then feel free. I'll look through them, and if there's something I think I can add some value to, maybe help a little bit, then I'll do it. So this is a question: can you make $200 a day as a day trader? Quick answer: yes, of course. $200 a day as a seasoned day trader is on the very low end of what you'd expect to be making if you've got a reasonable account size and a reasonable experience. Then obviously, people aren't shooting for $200 a day, they're shooting for significantly more. However, two things I wanted to point out. That's probably not the question you're asking, which gets to that in a moment. One thing I want to clear up first is just be careful about using a daily goal. Think about it in terms of what you're going to perhaps make in the quarter or the year or the month. Because if you're kind of having this goal every day, and I get it. It's nice to think you could do that every day and think, if I can just do $200 a day as a trader, if I can get to that point, then great. But it's incorrect thinking, I believe, because in my experience, profits don't come like that. You might have runs where you have great day, great day, great day, great day, but there's going to be times when you have days which are supremely good. I was trying to mix stupendous and extreme then. Very, very good. They're outlier type days and you're pressing, you're in tune, you manage to get your size on, you manage to do this, and you make substantially more than your target. They don't come around very often, but the point of sitting there every day doing that is that you're able to take advantage of those when they're there. Fine. But if you're saying I'm going to do X per day, you end up kind of stifling the gain and going, well, I've met my target, I'm done for the day. And you might have missed out on a massive opportunity to make 5 times that, or whatever your target may be. So I think you've got to be careful with that. The other thing is, on the other side of the coin, every day doesn't present opportunity. Some days when you'd be hitting singles and just, treading water. Other days you're completely out of tune. And if you're thinking, I've got to make 200, I've got to make 200, you can end up digging yourself a big hole. So you just be careful about thinking in terms of daily profit goals. Extend it out a little bit. Say, what do I like to make on the month? And a final thing about that is, I'm not a huge fan of those financial goals. I think if you have them in mind, absolutely. You say, I want to have my first 6-figure year, I want to have my first 7-figure year, I want to have my first profitable year, whatever. That's fine and that's good. But actually, if that's your focus each day, it kind of makes trading much harder than it should be, because you're focused so much on this P&L, and really should be focused on the process, making great trades, maximizing those winning trades, minimizing the losers, scaling, doing all the stuff that we know is conducive to long-term success. And if you focus on that, all of a sudden you look around at your P&L and you go, okay, good, keep going. Which if you're so focused on that, it's hard sometimes to sit through the ebbs and flows. So there's a couple of things extra. Anyway, let's go back to the initial question, which is $200 per day doable as a day trader. It's almost a tongue twister. And I give you the answer to that, of course. If someone is experienced and with a reasonable size account, then they're going to be shooting for significantly more than that, and they will be making significantly more than that. However, what the question probably is can I make $200 a day from the subscriber? Is it possible for me to do that? Is the question. And so I like to look at it like this. Okay. You have to be realistic, and listen, I'm absolutely 100% with you with thinking about what you're going to do and where you're headed and having a North Star to head to. And if your North Star is to make that, again, extend it out to the year, but if your North Star is to make that, then great, and you push for that. But there's some things that need to be taken into consideration. There's two things really. One is your account size, the other is your skill level. That's oversimplifying it, but that's really where we are. And you get these kind of quadrants. You've got a low skill level, and generally, it's not always, generally skill level comes in with experience. Some obviously people learn at a faster rate, and some people really kind of push hard and make a lot of effort, and effort may be the wrong word to use, but just learn better and kind of get over the hurdles and encourage themselves and move forward and don't take setbacks massively. The point is, skill level generally is correlated with experience, but if we call it skill level. So if you've got a low skill level and a low account size, then the chances of you achieving, let's say this, and I'm difficult to put the numbers in off the top of my head, but if it's a low account size, low skill level, I've got a low chance of getting to the numbers you want with consistency, because you haven't got the skill yet and you haven't got the account size yet. You're asking for huge percentage returns consistently with a low skill level. Sure, some people do it, but the odds are low. That doesn't matter though. I'm not saying that it's not achievable. We got to go, okay, how do I improve? Now, the one thing you can do is just push your skill level up. If you can push your skill level up, which I know you're doing because you're kind of learning, you're improving, you're trading, you're journaling, you've got your plan, you're kind of learning from books, you're looking at videos, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're constantly trying to improve your skill level. If you can bring that up, then you are in a good situation, because now you're in a point where, okay, your account size still may be low, but if your skill level's high or higher, then the chance of sustaining a high account balance is much, much better. Because if your skill level's low and your account size is high, that's the worst place to be, because you end up blowing it up, ends up coming down, you end up kind of sitting in this quadrant. These two quadrants are moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And this tends to be like the loss area. People are losing in this area here. Low skill level, low account size tends to be the way it is. And really, this side of skill, that tends to be trying to get over the hurdle of consistency, struggling. But the point is, you start off in this kind of lower left quadrant, and you're right, and your goal is to move up this profit line. So you get to the point where your account balance is a little bit more, a little bit higher, and your skill level's improved as well, and all of a sudden now you're at a point where you go, okay, things are working, I've got an account balance that will accommodate what I want to make in the markets, or what I'd like to make. And if we use the example of this question came in $200 a day, that would be a reasonable return on the amount of money I've got in my account. I'm not looking for an unreasonable return here. My skill level can accommodate some drawdowns I can push. So all of a sudden you're in that top right quadrant, you're in the profit area, your skill level's decent. Of course you can improve, and the idea is to keep improving. Your account size accommodates the kind of number that you're looking for, and you've got a good chance of it. So the point is, if you're in any of these other areas, then work to get yourself in that top right. Work to get yourself, if you're in the skill levels high and you're looking for $200 a day, but you've only got a $2,000 account, your chances are very, very slim. So, this comes back to another video I did a while ago, when many people find themselves in this. They're trading well, they're building an account up, and they get to a point where they go, you know what, if I want to make what I want to make from this, I need to have a much bigger account. And so there's the commercial decision for you to say, well, I need to risk more in order to boost my account up, and take the fact that I might not work, so that I can bring my account size up to a point that can accommodate the sort of profits that I'm looking for, and the sort of work that I'm looking to put in, the results I'm looking to get out. Is any of this guaranteed? Of course not. Of course it's not guaranteed, guys, but to give yourself the best possible chance of success, it's skill level high, account size high, and that involves making some tricky decisions along the way sometimes. But if you're down here on the bottom left, be realistic with what you're doing, but also be driven. I don't like Brazil, be realistic, and things can happen pretty quick. You can get to this skill level pretty quick. You can build an account balance pretty quick. But if you say, okay, if I want to get to that goal of $200 a day, or whatever that is per year, saying the subscriber, then you go, right, to get there, I shouldn't focus on that. I should focus on improving my skill level first. Then I need to have my account balance at least this, then I can hit that. So the goal, you don't go, oh, I can never make it. You just have to have a few hurdles along the way and say account balance needs to be here, skill level needs to be here. Then I've got the decent chance of getting to where I want to be in terms of income, that I can look around and go, right, what's next, what's next, what's next? So long answer, I guess. Yes, of course it is, but skill level, account size, very dependent on what you're trying to take out of the markets. Take care, guys. See you next one. Bye-bye.